welcome back to Dish Out. Today we are going to be making a lemon caper salmon cake with a side of asparagus. I've already got my salmon here, and we're going to go ahead and throw that in the oven for about 15 minutes to let that start cooking. Now, while the salmon is cooking, we're going to go ahead and get our mixture together that we're going to be making once the salmon's done. So these cakes are going to be like little, kind of like, think like crab cakes, but they're made with salmon. And to make them a little healthier, we're going to be using Greek yogurt instead of mayonnaise and, heavy mixers like that. Okay, so while our salmon finishes cooking, we're going to go ahead and start making the mix that we're going to mix in with the salmon to make that so we can make them cakes. You're going to add just about a third of Greek yogurt. You're gonna add 1 egg white. I usually just use the egg white cartons. Makes it a little bit easier to not wasting eggs. And then you're gonna add zest from 1 lemon. And then you're gonna add about a quarter teaspoon of salt. And then we're gonna go ahead and mix this up. I'm gonna add the zest, and then we will add in some more things soon. So now that our salmon is done baking, we're gonna let it cool off for a little bit so that way we can flake it up really nice, and that way it doesn't become too mushy if it's too hot. So we're gonna let that cool down for about 10 minutes or so, and while that's happening, I'm gonna drink my coffee. Sweet taste of coffee. I'm also gonna go ahead and get my asparagus all set up. As you saw, I cut the ends off. They were already pre-washed. We're gonna go ahead and season these with a little bit of lemon pepper seasoning. I already have my baking dish with a little bit of olive oil on the bottom of it so that way they don't stick. But we're gonna go ahead, and I like to add some actual real lemon juice to it. So that way it gives a little more flavor. So I just kind of like sprinkle it generously across them. And then I will add my lemon pepper seasoning whenever I can find it. Ah, there it is. All right, put it in the wrong drawer. All right, so we're just gonna throw some lemon pepper seasoning on there. We're gonna go ahead and just kind of toss them so that way it gets coated on all of them. And that way the lemon juice gets on all of them too. I really just like the flavor of lemon juice, and it'll pair really nicely with the lemon in the salmon cakes. So we're gonna let that sit on the side for a little bit, and then we'll throw those in the oven whenever we start cooking our salmon cakes. Now that our salmon has cooled down enough, we can start making it into flakes. So you can just take a fork, just start shred it like you would kind of like chicken. You just take a fork and you just kind of flake it and shred it. Now that we've got our salmon flaked up, we're going to add it back to our Greek yogurt mixture that we had already started with the lemon zest. Alrighty, so I've got that bowl here. So we're going to add in our salmon. I'm just going to throw that right in there so I don't make a mess and lose it all. And then we're gonna add about 3/4 cup of breadcrumbs. It calls for about 3.5 ounces. I just use traditional breadcrumbs. You can also use like sourdough bread or something if you wanna make your own breadcrumbs and put them through a food processor. It's just easier, and sake of time, I can add these in. I also have 2 tablespoons of chopped capers that we're gonna go ahead and add in there as well. And then we're gonna fold this all together. I'm going to start making consistency so that we can start making these into cakes. So let's go ahead and get that all mixed up, and then I'll show you how to form the cakes. Alright, now that we have our mixture in a consistency that we can make cakes from, we're gonna make these into about 8 even cakes. Now whenever you are mixing this, you don't wanna be too rough with it. You just kinda wanna fold it in there. That way it doesn't mush the salmon too much. Alrighty. So when we're making our cakes, you wanna make about, you can make them any size you want. I'm gonna make them a little, about this big, maybe a little bigger, because we're gonna make about 8 of them. You're gonna make them into little flat circles like that. So we're gonna go ahead and make a couple of those, and then we'll fry them up, and then we'll get them in the oven. Now that we have our salmon patties formed, we're gonna go ahead and what we're gonna do is we're gonna brown them on each side. We're gonna heat about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I've already got my pan heated, so we're gonna go ahead and throw that in there. And then we're gonna brown them on each side. The first side we're gonna brown for about 2 to 3 minutes to get it going. Once the oil heats up, and then we're gonna do the other side for about 1 to 2 minutes. And we're gonna transfer it to our baking sheet that we have over to the side. Now that we have our salmon cakes browned, we're gonna go ahead and throw in the oven for about 10 minutes. Whenever I started browning these, I also threw in our asparagus, because that's gonna take about anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the texture that you like your asparagus. So we're gonna let that sit in the oven for about 10 minutes and finish cooking. And then while that's cooking, we're gonna go ahead and make our tartar sauce that goes with it. All right, while our salmon cakes are in the oven, we're gonna go ahead and make our light tartar sauce. Now this one actually calls for a couple tablespoons of mayonnaise. I decided not to do that. I just added a little extra Greek yogurt. So this is a 1/3 cup of Greek yogurt. And we're gonna add to this is we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of chopped dill. Right, here it is, just kidding, wrong one. But we are gonna add 2 teaspoons of relish. We're gonna add a little bit of chopped dill. So we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of that, which is just dill weed. So 1, 2. All right, we're gonna add a teaspoon of mustard and a little bit of ground pepper. I like to use Dijon mustard. It gives it a little bit better tangy taste to it. We'll go ahead and add 1 teaspoon of that. A little bit of cracked pepper. And we're also going to add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So we're gonna go ahead and add all that in there, and then we are going to mix all of this up. Now this tartar sauce is considered a light tartar sauce, and it's good up to 3 days if you want to store it in the fridge. And if you want to make it a little thicker, you can add a little less lemon juice. But this is going to go on top of our salmon cakes. Just kind of whisk it in there together and let it settle. The Greek yogurt, and if you want to add, you can add a little more Greek yogurt if you feel like it. But I might actually do that because this is a little bit much. So I'm actually going to add me a little bit more Greek yogurt and then make it a little thicker. Just a second with that one. So I'm going to go ahead and add another 2 tablespoons of Greek yogurt. That is what the mayonnaise actually called for, but I am not adding the fat mayonnaise in there. Because again, we're trying to eat healthy here. Though the flavor is still amazing. Alrighty, so there we go. Now you have your light tartar sauce that you can put on your salmon cakes. Now that our salmon cakes are done, we're gonna go ahead and plate our food. Now my asparagus I put in, like I said earlier, whenever we started cooking the cakes on the stove, I put them in for about 15 minutes at 400 degrees, and it turns out to a perfect consistency. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those there. Salmon cakes. And then we're just going to top them off with a dollop of our tartar sauce. So. And there you go. You've got your lemon caper salmon cakes with a side of asparagus with light tartar sauce. Thanks for watching today's episode of Dished Out Meals, and we made our lemon caper salmon cakes that turned out absolutely beautiful and delicious. Make sure you like and subscribe, and be on the lookout for any new content dropping. And I've got to get my butt out of here because I've got some hungry people waiting for their meals today. Have a good day, guys. Bye.